think this is all the people that are going to be here tonight? Yes?
Yes.
Then can you make yourselves comfortable and find a window so that I can see you and you can see me, rather than you having to do the dance of your neck. So if your chair is being blocked by someone else, just move it a little bit.
Dobroveče svima, dobrodošli na predavanje Put samospoznaje gospođe Jasu Bhen. Ovo je događaj u organizaciji Brama Kumarisa, Maja Medija i Centra Zora i mi. Naš predavač, gospođa Jasu Bhen, rođena u Africi, ona je iz Centra Brama Kumaris, koja je ostala 1936. godine. I jedno od učenja zastupljenih u tom centru je Raja Yoga. Večeras ćemo slušati jedno predavanje gde ću ja biti prevodilac, prevodilac ću manje više simultano. Ja sam Bogdan Gabrić sa Filološkog fakulteta, doktorant sam i nadam se da će vam ovo predavanje značiti. Just so I leave the rest to you.
Okay. Just to mention that Brahma Kumaris teaches many courses that enable us to bring about transformation in our lives, teaching us how to actually go beyond the things that is causing us any kind of sorrow or suffering.
Pomenut ću da se Brahma Kumaris, to je da u Brahma Kumarisu postoje mnogi kursevi koje nam pomažu da uklonimo uzroke patnje u našim životima.
We do courses on positive thinking, stress management, anger management, things that are really being a problem to us and people find that they cannot handle themselves.
Predmet naših kurseva tiče se stvari koje život čine lakšim jer se bave temama kao što su pozitivno razmišljanje, nošenje sa stresom i sličnim temama.
I was told that I'm coming here tonight to speak to a group that is actually doing meditation, interested in meditation, but I don't know what kind of meditation you do.
Rečeno mi je da ću večeras držati predavanje pred grupom koja se zanima, koja interesuje meditacija i koja se bavi meditacijom, ali nisam sigurna o kom tačno vidu meditacije se radi.
Just now I heard the brother mention this term, kindred spirits, and all of us here are like-minded souls who are all seeking for the same thing, wanting to know the self better.
Čuo sam da je Bogdan pomenuo termin srodne duše i sigurna sam da smo mi večeras u tom opštem značenju termina srodne duše zbog naših interesovanja.
In today's world you find that there isn't a single person who is actually leading, you can say, has a life of total happiness or peace.
Ne verujem da se može reći da danas postoji neko ko živi srećan život, koji je u potpunosti u miru i koji je potpuno zadovoljan.
So it's like we're at that point of time whereby everything is coming to a climax where souls of all religions are seeking for the same thing, even though their beliefs are different.
Čini se da smo u vremenu kulminacije neke vrste, jer
we're at the climax where souls of all religions coming together because everyone is searching for the same thing.
Znači, nalazimo se periodu kulminacije gde sve religije u suštini teže ka isti stvari.
Each one of us are able to see one another physically, but yet inside each one there is a whole world, there's a whole universe that is completely individual to each one.
Jedni drugima možemo da vidimo kako čovjek izgleda, vidimo telo, vidimo lika, ali ne vidimo unutrašnji svet koji je ogroman i koji je beskrajno kompleksan.
So tonight last night I was at the center and I gave a talk on self-realization, and then I was told tonight is self-transformation.
Juče sam održala predavanje o samospoznaji, a rečeno mi je da je večerašnja tema transformacija, samotransformacija.
So I'd like to ask you, which comes first, self-transformation or self-realization?
Postavilo bih vam pitanje, dakle, šta mislite, šta prvo dolazi, samotransformacija ili samospoznaja?
Transformation is a little thing, self-realization is a big thing.
Ko je za samospoznaju?
I mean,
Self-realization. Self-transformation, people? Hands up.
What is it that we are wanting to transform in ourselves?
many things.
I'm asking them, what is it you want to transform in yourself?
Šta je to što želite da preobrazite u sebi?
There's obviously something that is being an obstacle, that is being a hindrance to me moving forward on my path of spirituality.
Očigledno postoji nešto što me sputava na mom duhovnom putu.
So each one has something different that is preventing you from moving forward.
Svako ima svoje prepreke i svakoga nešto svoje sputava.
For some people it's lack of tolerance, for some people it's lack of compassion, for some people it's too much anger in themselves. So each one is working on something different.
Nekim ljudima nedostaje tolerancije, neki ne mogu da obuzdaju bes, nekima nedostaje saosećanja, dakle svako ima svoje neke nedostatke s kojima mora da se bori.
But very important for each one of us to first of all understand who am I.
Pre svega treba razumeti, čovjek treba da razume ko je on. Ko sam ja je pitanje na koje treba da odgovori.
There's a person who was in a state of depression and he was thinking that I can't live with myself anymore because he was depressed.
Jedan čovjek, jedna osoba je bila deprimirana i
A person who couldn't live with himself, so he was thinking I can't live with myself.
Nije mogao da život mu je malte ne bio nepodnošljiv i mislio je ne mogu da živim sam sa sobom.
So then he stopped to think. He was in a state of depression and this was the thought that was coming in his mind. But then he stopped to think, who is I and who is myself?
Klonuo je duhom i ponavljala mu se ta misao ne mogu da živim sa sobom, ali nikad se nije zapitao ko sam ja, ko je taj ja koji ne može da živi sam sa sobom.
So who is creating the thoughts that I cannot live with myself?
Ko je izvor te misli ne mogu da živim, ne mogu da podnesem, ne mogu da živim sam sa sobom.
So when he went inwards, he came with this realization that I is different from myself and I am this being that is the awareness. So it's not the physical being but just this consciousness.
Zadubio se u samorefleksiju, meditaciju i shvatio je da postoji svest i postoji ja i da ta svest posmatra to ja.
So I'd like you all to take a minute to think within yourself, what is it that is stopping me from realizing my own self?
Pozvala bih vas da odvojite nekoliko minuta razmišljajući na temu
what is stopping me from realizing who I truly am?
Šta to mene sputava, sprečava da spoznam samog sebe?
So first of all, to think of yourself, what is it that you think you are?
One more time?
to become aware of who you think you are.
Da postanete svesni predstave o samom sebi.
So just spend a minute in silence, going deep inside, connecting with the spiritual being, and think about the true self. Who am I?
Razmišljajte o pravom sopstvu, odvojite 1 minut i zapitajte se ko sam ja.
Om Shanti. Coming back into the awareness of the self, could some of you please tell me what you were thinking?
Posle ove introspekcije, da li bi neko od vas podelio sa mnom svoje utiske, o čemu ste razmišljali dok ste se zadubili, dok ste bili zadubljeni u samorefleksiji? Izvolite.
Ja sam dobila pitanje šta sam ja.
A question occurred to me. What am I?
Okay. I'll address that in a minute, but first I'd like to hear from others.
Daću vam svoj komentar, samo da čujem još odgovore.
I was sitting with myself and just asking that question into ether, and just hearing what is reflecting like an answer, just to feel, not to hear, then to feel answer.
So what was the feeling that you got?
I was so smaller and the space was bigger. I felt feel.
You could feel this body?
The sense is losing of body.
So a state of bodilessness, going beyond
Just
the
like
physical body.
It was short, but it was leading to that.
Yeah, I was thinking I'm not a personality, but who am I? And it just repeated in my head, who am I?
So what was the response you were getting in the mind?
I didn't get a response. As something like he said, just the feeling of something bigger and stronger inside of me.
A powerful feeling inside the self. Anyone else want to share?
Pitajući se ko sam, šta sam, gde sam, dobila sam odgovor koliko ja razumem da sam ja ljubav, samo ljubav koja ide ka prema Isusa.
Ka čemu, izvinite?
Ljubav ka prema, božanskoj ljubavi.
Aha, ka premi. Asking myself who am I and all these questions, I got the answer that I'm love and that I'm heading towards prema.
Evo Srbija. Da sam osoba koja se trudi širi pozitivnu energiju, to je dobrotu. Trudi se da bude dobro u ovom zlom svetu.
That I am a person who's trying to spread positivity and basically be a good person.
Good person, yes. Anyone else wants to share?
Još neko?
I just felt peace and oneness.
Oneness. It's correct what each one of you is feeling, because the soul, the spiritual being, the sister asked the question, what am I? So I am not this physical body. So I'm not this body made of the 5 elements, but I am consciousness that is sitting in the center of the forehead. So when you're talking about these qualities, the feeling of being bodiless and going beyond the senses, because you're concentrating on the spirit, the self, you're able to be detached from the body. because you're being detached from the body, you're able to feel the original qualities of the soul. The original qualities of the soul is goodness within the self. Talking about love, talking about peace, talking about harmony. So all of these things are there within the soul. What's happened is we have forgotten ourselves. We've forgotten this identity, and instead we're working with this identity. And because this identity is temporary, it doesn't have that much power. When you work with this identity that I am an eternal being, I am a consciousness that is immortal and eternal, there is nothing that can touch me. There is nothing that can harm me. So when I actually recognize myself as this spiritual being, then I know that I am a being that is untouched by everything else. Sorry, I forgot. I'm seeing that many people are understanding, that's why.
U suštini, svi utisci koje smo čuli su validni. I bitno je napraviti razliku između privremenog i trajnog sopstva, ili da kažem pravog i lažnog, jer svi smo se, ili se većina nas u trenutku meditacije udaljila od tela i udaljila od ovog privremenog identiteta i cilj je u stvari da se čovek saobrazi sa svojim pravim identitetom, koji je ono što smo čuli u suštini ljubav, dobrota, znači to je suština.
Experiencing being beyond the body, experiencing peace, experiencing compassion, experiencing love. All of that comes from understanding the soul as an eternal being.
Spoznati dušu kao nešto što je večno,
experiencing all of these things come because I understand myself as a spiritual being, an eternal being.
Stvari kao što su dobrota i ljubav proističu iz poznavanja sebe kao duša.
The reason why at the moment souls are suffering is because they have lost the identity of the soul, the spirit.
Ljudi pate zato što su zaboravili svoj pravi identitet duše.
There isn't awareness of the self being the spiritual being, energy.
Izgubljena je svest o tome da je
there isn't the awareness of being the spiritual energy.
Da je čovjek u stvari duhovna energija.
Generally, when people meditate, is any other kind of meditation, then they just want to go into silence because the soul actually is silent.
Kada ljudi meditiraju, trebalo bi da utišaju zato što je duša mukla, tiha, znači ne govori, nema buke, nema ničega.
So anytime you ask someone to meditate, the first thing they'll do is close their eyes and then just go into silence.
Ljudi tumače pojam meditacije kao, mislim, ako ja kažem da meditirate, vi ćete pomislite ili ćete uraditi tako da zatvorite oči i da utišate um. To je smisao toga.
The beauty of Raj Yoga meditation is we actually do meditation with our eyes open, but we focus on the center of the forehead because the soul is residing in the center of the forehead.
Lepota meditacije na način Rađa joge je u tome što mi meditiramo otvorenih očiju, usredsređeni na tačku koja se nalazi na srčanu.
We are learning meditation because it's a way of life rather than just spending 1 or 2 hours doing meditation.
Naša meditacija obuhvata život u celini, nije nešto za što odvajamo vreme.
Raj Yoga meditation means the royal union of the soul with the supreme, the divine energy.
Meditacija u Rađa jogi predstavlja kraljevsko sjedinjenje pojedinca sa apsolutom.
So there can only be a union of two that are alike. If they are different, then you cannot bring them together.
Sjedinjenje u tom smislu može, do sjedinjenja u tom smislu može da dođe samo ako su između dve iste prirode. Drugačije ne može da dođe do sjedinjenja.
So talking about the soul and God, the Supreme Soul, when there is the awareness of both being the same, means both are light, then there can be the union taking place between the two.
Znači kada se dođe do spoznaje da je pojedinačna duša i svetska duša isto,
the union between the soul and the Supreme Soul can only take place when I am aware of myself as this light energy.
Mogu da se sjedinjem sa univerzalnom dušom samo ako sam svestan sebe kao svetlosne energije.
To visualize the self as a point of light seated in the center of the forehead, and from here spreading light everywhere.
Zamišljam sopstvo kao svetlosnu tačku usred čela koja odašilja svoje zrake svuda okolo.
When we're meditating, it's not that you're just sitting somewhere and doing nothing, going into stillness. Meditating means just connecting with God with your thoughts.
Meditacija ovde ne podrazumeva nedelanje, nego povezivanje sa Bogom preko sopstvenih misli, pomoću sopstvenih misli.
The most valuable tool that you have, each one of us has, is our mind, and that is the power to think.
Sposobnost mišljenja ili je najdragocenija stvar koju posjedujemo.
At the moment, what we've done, because we've lost our identity, we have handed over the authority of the mind to the mind itself, and we have become slave to the mind.
Postali smo služnjevi uma jer smo izgubili svest o svom identitetu i dali smo umu autoritet da radiš šta mu je drago.
So in order to regain that mastery which we had at one point, we have to go back inwards and realize that I am that spiritual being.
Da bismo povratili taj autoritet, moramo da spoznamo sami sebe kao to duhovno biće.
In this way, I become the master once again. I become the authority.
Na taj način ja postajem autoritet, gospodar, moć je ponovo moja.
Another exercise for you. As you're sitting here, you're seeing everything here in front of you. What are the thoughts in your mind?
Još jedna vežba. Dok sedite ovde, šta vam sve pada na pamet?
Is the thought in your mind something you want to have in your mind, or is the thought something that is influenced by what you are seeing here? Means, are you creating the thought in your mind, or is the thought coming because of what you are seeing in front of you?
Da li su te misli tu zato što vi želite da one budu tu, da li ste ih vi prizvali, da li ste ih vi tu stavili ili su one tu kao odgovor na stvari koje percipirate?
This is part of meditation, but something very deep to understand that I am the creator of my thoughts. And so having total control over the senses means the eyes also. I am the creator of my thoughts, and so having control over the physical senses, having control over my eyes, so it doesn't matter what the eyes are seeing, my mind is not creating thoughts according to what the eyes are seeing.
Znači, ja u idealnom stanju, znači, određujem koje ću misli da imam, šta će da mi padne na pamet. I ja upravljam, to jest ja sam ovladao čulima i ne mogu da mislim ništa što ne želim da mislim.
My mind is creating the thoughts as to what I want to think. I want to experience peace, so I'm just allowing myself to be in that state of peace rather than thinking the eyes are seeing something and you start thinking about what the eyes are seeing.
Ono čemu razmišljam ne zavisi od onoga što vidim i mi donosi one misli koje ja želim da mi donese. Ako razmišljam o miru, onda ću moći da razmišljam o miru, a ne samo da mi neke stvari razne padaju na pamet.
When you sit down to have meditation, it's necessary to have concentration of the mind and the intellect.
Preduslov za meditaciju je sabranost, koncentracija uma.
The mind and the intellect.
I uma i intelekt.
Both of these are faculties of the soul, the spiritual being, using the mind to create thoughts, using the intellect to rationalize whether this thought is right or not.
Znači, postoji razlika, terminološka razlika između uma i intelekta. Um je sposobnost mišljenja, intelekt je analitička sposobnost. Znači, idealna situacija ovdje je cilj učenja da vi možete da intelektom
rationalizing whether the thought is right or not.
Da odredite da li je misao koja mi pada na pamet moralno ispravna ili nije.
So far we have given freedom to our mind to think whatever it wants, because the intellect is not able to work properly.
Čovjek koji ne meditira nije razvio tu sposobnost intelekta razlikom.
What happens when you don't use something and you just leave it lying around?
Šta se dešava sa nečim što ne koristite?
So like you've got a knife or a scissor, you leave it lying around, you don't use it, what happens?
Šta se dešava sa makazama ili nožem koji ne koristite uopšte?
It becomes rusty. You're not able to use it.
Ne možete da koristite više.
The same happens with our intellect.
Ista stvar se dešava sa intelektom.
We don't use the intellect to decide what is right and what is wrong, and we just go with the flow, and so the intellect stops working.
Ne koristimo intelekt da prosudimo o tome šta je, da li je misao ispravna ili nije, i intelekt atrofira.
Because the intellect stops working, it's like you say you've killed the intellect, you've killed your conscience.
Zbog toga što je intelekt prestao da radi, to je kao da ste ubili sopstvenu savest.
This is why you find people out on the streets doing all sorts of criminal behavior without thinking about anything, because the intellect has stopped working.
Zato na ulici možete zateći prizore bezumnih radnji kao što su zločini, na primjer, jer ti ljudi uopšte ne koriste svoj intelekt da prosude o ispravnosti misli koji padaju na pamet.
So through meditation we are able to awaken the mind and the intellect so that then they begin to work properly.
Pomoću meditacije možemo da pobudimo um i intelekt da bismo omogućili njihovu pravilnu funkciju, pravilno funkcionisanje.
Practicing meditation again and again, because we've lost the habit of thinking of ourselves as a soul, we need to repeatedly remind ourselves that I am a soul, I am a peaceful being.
Potrebno nam je da istrajamo u praksi meditacije jer smo, da tako kažem, izgubili naviku da sebe posmatramo kao dušu. I zato nam treba da razvijemo ponovo tu naviku i da uđemo u to.
I mentioned earlier that meditation is a way of life, it's not just for a few moments. So whilst we are doing all the work with our hands, our mind can be thinking about the soul and God.
Sjetite se šta sam rekla na početku, da meditacija nije nešto za što se odvaja vreme, da to nije nešto što je odeljeno od života.
So what we are doing through meditation is sharpening our mind and intellect.
Pomoću meditacije izoštravamo i intelekt. I kada meditiramo, možemo rukama da radimo jednu stvar, a da budemo u meditaciji. Znači ne moramo da se povučemo u sebe.
Increasing the power of concentration.
Meditacijom jačamo svoju koncentraciju.
Time to concentrate on one thought. Just one thought. I am a pure, powerful, peaceful being. Realizing the self to be the three P's: pure, powerful, and peaceful. Practicing it now. Yeah, translate. Yeah, this is an exercise, yeah.
Samo na jednu misao.
Da.
Ja sam snažna, moćna, mirna duša.
Znači, odvojite minut, osjećajte se samo na jednu misao, a ta misao je: ja sam snažna, moćna i mirna duša.
Čista.
I čista.
Čista duša.
Da.
Znači čista.
What she says? Understand. Pure, powerful, peaceful being. Recognizing myself as a pure, powerful, peaceful being, I am spreading the vibrations of purity and peace around myself.
Prepoznajući sebe kao moćnu, čistu i mirnu dušu, odašiljam
Zrake mira.
Odašiljam zrake mira svuda.
Om Shanti. Sitting in this awareness, were you able to feel the vibrations of peace and purity around yourself?
Da li ste osjetili mir i čistotu oko sebe dok ste sedeli u meditaciji sada?
Yes. We sat here for 1 minute and we experienced that.
Sedeli smo minut i osjetili smo to.
So now, homework for all of you. When you get back home, before you go to sleep, you practice this for 3 minutes. Sitting in silence and just bringing that awareness.
Daću vam domaći. Kad dođete kući, pred spavanje, odvojite 3 minuta i osjetite to što ste sada osjetili. To jest osjećajte.
What we are doing in that process, when we're coming into that awareness of the soul, finishing everything that has happened throughout the day, and just putting a full stop to everything.
Once more.
everything, when you practice 3 minutes of silence, then you're putting a full stop to everything that has happened throughout the day and starting with a clean slate for the next day.
U ta 3 minuta tišine stavljate tačku na taj dan. Taj dan je gotov i otvarate prostor za sljedeći dan.
What tends to happen generally is you go to sleep with whatever has happened throughout the day. So the mind is full of tension and stress. You wake up in the morning and you have the same feeling.
Šta se inače dešava? Inače se dešava da prenosite neprijatnosti iz jednog dana u sljedeći.
So when you actually clear the mind of what has happened throughout the day, then it means the next morning you wake up fresh with nothing else in the mind.
Kada ovako očistite um, onda možete da započnete sljedeći dan sa pravom sužinom.
Otherwise, something had happened today, you go to sleep with it, you wake up the next morning, you're still thinking about the same thing that's happened.
Inače ćete svoje probleme, muke, ono što vas muči, preneti u sljedeći dan.
And then if you try to meditate what happens, whatever had happened, that comes into your mind. You're not able to concentrate.
I nećete moći da se skoncentrišete u meditaciji.
So to be able to meditate, it's necessary to put a full stop to whatever has happened.
Da biste meditirali, morate da raskrstite s onim što se desilo.
To put a full stop, necessary to realize that I am a point.
That
I am a point. I, the soul, am a point of light.
Da biste shvatili da ste vi...
To put a full stop.
Da stavite tačku i da stavite tačku i da shvatite da ste vi svetlosna tačka u svijesti.
So like there's been an argument between two people, then in my mind I will keep on thinking about what's happened. But in order to put a full stop, I have to actually come back to the awareness of the self as a soul. Then I'll be able to stop that dialogue that's happening inside because of the argument. Yeah?
Ako se, na primjer, desila neka svađa, jedini način na koji možete to da prekinete, jer inače nastavljate taj dijalog, nastavljate tu svađu u glavi, jeste da se vratite sebi i da se vratite svesti u samom sebi. Inače, produžavate tu svađu, taj dijalog ovako se.
The mind is something very delicate and it will hold on to whatever has happened, but I have to have the power in myself to stop the mind thinking. The mind is delicate and it will continue to think whatever has happened, but I have the power to stop those thoughts.
Će reprizirati te misli, ali ja imam moć da ih zaustavim.
When I'm able to put a stop to all of those negative thoughts, wasteful thoughts, then I'm able to conserve my energy.
Kada
putting a stop to negative thoughts and wasteful thoughts, I conserve the energy of the soul.
Kada končam te rasipne misli, rasipne zato što rasipaju energiju, uspjeću da vratim kontrolu.
Just think for yourself, who has more energy or more power? A person who is constantly just blabbering on about nothing, not speaking anything useful, or a person who is experiencing silence.
Ko ima više energije? Brbljivac ili onaj koji tiho je?
Throughout the day you end up speaking so much unnecessary things, and what are you doing? You're using up all the energy that you have actually accumulated. But going into silence, you're actually accumulating the power of the soul.
Duševna moć se kultiviše tihovanjem, to jest tišinom, a nepotrebnim govorenjem ili brbljenjem se rasipa.
This is why when we meditate, we go into silence. We don't meditate chanting or singing songs or anything, but we go deep inside.
Zato u meditaciji ne pevamo nego povlačimo se u tišinu.
Yeah. But going deep inside into silence.
Idemo duboko, povlačimo se duboko u tišinu.
When you go deep inside an ocean, what do you find there?
Kada zaronite duboko u okean tišine, šta ćete tamo naći?
On the surface there are all the waves and everything, but deep inside it's still completely silent.
Na dnu je potpuna tišina.
Right? And so for us also, to experience that silence, the stillness, we have to go deep inside.
To važi u našem slučaju, da bismo osjetili mir i tišinu moramo da zaronimo duboko u sebe.
You understanding all of this so far? I'm keeping on speaking as it's coming to me, but I hope that you're able to understand and practice it with myself. Yes?
Jel možete da me ispratite?
So basically what I'm doing is teaching the technique of meditation, of going deep inside, but then you're able to go deep inside only when there is silence in the mind, stillness.
Moj vid meditacije tiče se dubokog zaranjenja u sebe, ali to je jedino moguće u tišini.
People experience a lot of fear of death. But what is there that is dying?
Ljude muče mnogi strahovi, kao što su, na primjer, strah od smrti, ali pitanje je ko ili šta umire.
There was this rishi who at the age of 16 was afraid of death. So then he actually enacted as though he's dead, and he lied down and he stopped breathing. And in that moment he is having this realization, what is it that is actually dying?
Jednog rišija je sa 16 godina mučio strah od smrti. I on je odlučio da simulira iskustvo smrti i da meditira na pitanje šta to u stvari umire.
So he realized that it's actually not the soul that dies, it's the body that dies. This body that is of matter, the elements, that is going to be destroyed, but the soul doesn't get destroyed.
Uvideo je da umire samo telo, a da je duša večna.
And when he had this realization, he realized that the true happiness comes from understanding this eternal being rather than looking outside for anything.
Shvatio je da se prava sreća sastoji u tome, sastoji u samospoznaji, u razumijevanju svog pravog identiteta, a ne nekih stvari koje postoje izvan nas.
And that's when he lost his fear of death, otherwise he was afraid of dying. But then he realized that I am a soul that doesn't die. And so he didn't have fear anymore.
Više nije imao strah, više se nije plašio smrti jer je uvideo svoj pravi identitet. Ja sam duša i ja ne umiram.
He ended up becoming a great Maharishi because he had this awareness of the self as the eternal being. And he spread his teachings like that the physical body dies, but the soul doesn't die.
Postao je veliki riši, Maharishi, i učio je teaching that
the teaching that this body dies, but the soul doesn't die. So teaching eternal consciousness.
Učio je da je svijest večna, da samo telo umire. To je bilo njegovo učenje.
When we're practicing meditation, this is what we're doing, bringing about immortality, because we understand ourselves as the immortal being.
U meditaciji nam je cilj da uvidimo da smo mi večno, besmrtno biće.
It is the immortal that brings us power, look at the mortal being and that takes you away your power, it makes you powerless.
Naš večni aspekt je aspekt moći, a smrtni, privremeni aspekt je onaj koji nam oduzima moć. Znači, ova privremena ličnost nam oduzima moć, a naš pravi identitet nam daje moć.
In the Gita it's been mentioned that the soul cannot be cut, it cannot be burnt, it cannot be drowned. That nothing can happen to the soul.
U Bhagavad Gita je rečeno da se dušu ne možete povrediti ni mačem, ni ognjem. Ona je nepovrediva.
So when you have the awareness that I am that soul, then all fear goes away, because there is nothing that can touch you.
Kad shvatite da ste vi ta duša, onda znate da vas ništa ne može povrediti.
The only thing that I have to constantly be aware of is that I keep myself in the company of truth.
Stvar koja treba da budemo svesni jeste da je neophodno držati se istine.
Being in the company of human beings who do not have the awareness of the soul, that is company of falsehood. And if I keep myself in false company, then it's possible that I bring harm to myself, I bring myself down.
Sebe možete sputati ili čak naneti štetu ako se okružite ljudima koji nisu svesni svoje prave prirode.
This is why it's always said that if you want to elevate yourself, you keep yourself in elevated company.
Zato je rečeno da ako želite da se uzdignete duhovno, da se okružite ljudima koji su duhovno uzvišeni.
And so how do I keep myself in elevated company in a world that is full of falsehood?
Kako onda da se okružim ljudima koji su duhovno uzvišeni u ovakvom svetu?
There is only one being that is the truth. Human beings are all full of falsehood.
Samo jedno biće je istina, ljudi su puni laži.
Because there isn't the foundation of knowing the self as the being of truth. Human beings don't have awareness of themselves as the being of truth.
Ljudi sebe ne poznaju kao biće istine. Biće istine.
Only the one who is the truth can give me true company and make me realize myself as the truth.
Samo onaj koji je istinit može da mi pruži takvo društvo.
And it's only when I keep myself in the company of truth that I am then able to be true to myself.
Samo u prisustvu istine mogu da budem iskren prema sebi, istinit prema sebi.
And being true to myself means I am living with the same qualities as of God.
A to znači da budem istih kvaliteta kao Bog.
Awareness of God, God is known as the compassionate one, the kind being, the merciful one. So being a child of that Supreme, I also have those qualities.
Ja sam dete Boga koji je u osnovnoj prirodi samilostan i milosrdan, i onda sam ja samilostan i milosrdan po prirodi.
What I do in meditation is remember God as that being who is the kind, merciful being, and in that way I draw His kindness into myself, so I'm able to make myself into a very kind person.
U meditaciji se sećam Boga kao samilosnog i milosrdnog i onda te kvalitete upijam u sebe.
And it's only when I recognize the values of myself as the soul, the positive values, purity, peace, happiness, love, kindness, compassion, all of these things, when I recognize myself as a being of that, then I'm able to interact with everyone with those qualities.
Kada stekne pravi uvid u svoju prirodu koju odlikuju mir, istina, saosećanje, onda mogu da imam razmene sa ljudima koji su takvi.
So is it then difficult to transform yourself?
Da li je onda teško preobraziti se?
What prevents me from changing myself then?
Šta me sputava na putu transformacije? Šta me sputava da se preobrazim?
Anything? I have it in my hands to transform myself. Yes? I have the magic key with which to transform myself. So tonight, did all of you receive the magic key, the magic wand, with which to bring about the transformation within the self?
Ključ transformacije je u mojim rukama. Dakle, da li imate taj ključ, da li osjećate taj ključ u svojim rukama?
Yes, no.
Da ili ne? Pitanje za sve.
Yes? The golden key, the golden wand with which to actually bring about total transformation, just here.
Sredstvo za potpunu transformaciju tu.
Just the one thought, I am a child of the Supreme. And this gives you total mastery over the self.
Samo jedna misao. Ja sam Božje dete.
Yes? You're able to live with this thought again and again and again so that becomes part of your nature and you recognize yourself as a child of God.
Počinjete da živite sa tom mišlju, prepoznajete sebe kao Božje dete.
Our senior, who's now passed away since 4 years, but she just had 3 questions in life. And all the time she kept on answering these 3 questions. First question we've addressed, who am I?
Naša članica koja je...
Daddy Janki, who was the head of the organization.
Direktorka koja je preminula pre 3 godine. U 104. godini bavila se samo 3 pitanjima u životu. Prvo je, ko sam ja?
Who am I? Yes? The second question was, who do I belong to?
Drugo pitanje glasi, kome pripadam?
And the third question was, what do I have to do?
I posljednje, šta mi je činiti, šta treba da radim?
So we all realized, who am I? I am this being. Yes? The peaceful being, the pure being, the loveful being.
Shvatili smo ko sam ja. Miroljubivo biće, dobro biće. Jel da?
Who do I belong to? I belong to the Supreme, God, the divine energy.
Kome pripadam? Bogu, božanskoj energiji.
And as his child, everything of his is mine.
I pošto sam njegovo dete, sve što je njegovo je i moje.
What is God's property?
Šta pripada Bogu?
Anything? We all have a right to God's property because He is our Father. Yes?
Sorry, go ahead.
Carry on.
Ono što je Božije je i naše jer smo mi njegova deca.
And the third question was, what do I have to do?
Treće pitanje, podsjetit ću vas, bilo je šta treba da radim.
Being a child of God, recognizing myself as a soul, it becomes my duty to share with everyone else what I have received from the Supreme.
Pošto sam Božije dete i pošto sam spoznala ili spoznala sebe kao Božije dete, moja je dužnost da tu spoznaju podelim sa drugima.
Right?
Je tako?
Anything else that I need to do?
Jel treba još nešto da uradim?
Just be true to the self, be true to the Father, and you'll find that everything works out beneficially and successfully.
Budi istinit prema sebi, budi istinit prema Bogu i sve će se odbiti onako kako treba da se odbije.
Is it difficult to be the self?
Je teško biti to što ste?
No?
Nije?
So then what will happen is we will see each one as a beautiful angel, a divine angel that is constantly flying, not here on this earth, but up above her.
Vidjet ćemo dakle svakog čoveka kao anđela koji nije ovde već gore na nebu.
If you're stuck in this physical world, then there's all sorts of sorrow and suffering and bondages.
Na ovom svetu su razne patnje, razna ropstva.
But when you are up above, then you are free from all of these things.
A gore takvih stvari nema.
Yes, so everyone has now received total liberation and salvation.
Jesmo svi sada primili, dobili potpuno oslobođenje, potpuno...
Yes? Any questions from anyone?
Da li neko ima pitanje?
I'd like to ask you, what is the feeling that you have inside yourself, in your heart, having heard all of these truths of knowledge?
Čuvši ovo učenje, šta osjetite u srcu sada?
Because it's easy to have experienced it, taken it into your heart, but then unless you verbalize it, as soon as you go out of the door, it will be forgotten.
Ako ga sada ne verbalizujete, zaboravit ćete.
When you actually verbalize it, you make it your own, it stays with you. So then you go away with that as a gift with yourself.
Ako ga izgovorite, onda ga možete poneti kući.
Anyone willing to share what you're going to take away with you?
Da li bi neko podelio s nama šta će nositi kući večeras?
Ljubav.
Love.
Ease and protection.
Peace and protection, yes. Ease. Ease.
Just let myself be myself and live human values, and then something is gonna turn back to me.
Life is very easy, we make it difficult for ourselves.
Život je vrlo lak, mi ga komplikujemo.
A feeling of trust.
Trusting the self, trusting the world, trusting the universe.
In general.
In general. Okay.
Čistotu.
Purity.
I lepe misli.
Good thoughts.
Good thoughts, yes. So now you have the mechanism of understanding how to create the thoughts and how to go beyond the influence of the senses.
Sada vam je jasno kako možete da stvarate takve misli, a ne da vam zavisi od spoljašnjih dešavanja i stvari.
That means you become the master rather than the mind being the master and you becoming the slave.
Vi ste onda gospodar, a ne
You feel you have that power within yourself now to be able to deal with any situation that comes?
Yes.
Da li sada osjećate tu moć u sebi? Da li osjećate da sada možete da se suočite sa bilo kakvom situacijom?
Because truly speaking, the external situations are all temporary situations. What's happening inside is something that's permanent, that stays with you.
Jer ono što se dešava je prolazno i ostaje ono što je u nama.
Yeah?
Jel' tako?
So now, nothing can shake you. Yes?
sada ništa ne može da vas poremeti.
To have the power of stillness within, the power of stability within, so that nothing can shake you.
Sada imate moć da ništa ne može da vas pokoleba.
The beauty of this knowledge is the power that it gives you, and it is the power of stability. So that doesn't matter what the situation in front of you is, you are able to remain stable in there.
Lepota ovog učenja je u stabilnosti koju vam daje. Šta god da se desi, šta god da vam se desi, vi možete da zadržite stabilnost.
So long as you keep on applying this knowledge in your everyday life, you will find that your life is becoming more and more stable, more and more stronger.
Kako primenjujete ovo znanje u svakodnevnom životu, primetit ćete kako ste, što više primenjujete ovo znanje, to ćete biti stabilniji u životu.
I always feel the result of the knowledge, the application of the knowledge, I can say that yes, I have used that knowledge when I feel that stability in my life.
Kada osjetim tu stabilnost, kumulativno, kada osjetim tu stabilnost, shvatam da sam primenjivala to znanje.
This is when I can say yes, I have self-realization, because otherwise something happens, someone says something and immediately I get upset.
Tako znam da sam postigla tu samospoznaju, jer inače stabilnost gubim u trenutku čim neko nešto kaže što se meni ne sviđa.
But when I understand this knowledge, then I know that whatever anyone has said or done, I know that that soul is just playing their part. My part is to remain stable.
Ja znam da to što neko drugi radi njegova uloga, deo njegove uloge, a moja uloga je da budem stabilna, da budem nepokorna.
One last example that I like to share with you. This is a lesson that I learned just recently. Someone had sent an email and I replied in the same tone. But before I sent that email, I asked a senior sister to check it for me before I sent it. I mean, someone had sent an email which wasn't so positive, so I replied in the same tone, not so positive.
Da reću samo nešto što sam skoro naučila, radi se o prepisci online. Dobila sam e-mail i odgovorila sam istim tonom kojim je moj dopisnik pisao.
When I asked this sister to check it, she said, I wouldn't send that email, because if you are sending that email to that person in the same tone of email, then how are you going to uplift that soul?
Ispravit ću sebe. Jasu je htjela da pošalje jedan e-mail, da odgovori istim tonom i onda je zamolila sestru
da proveri, da joj da savjet.
Sestru iz centra da proveri, da joj da savjet i shvatila je na kraju da ne može da taj e-mail je bio negativan, ne može da pomogne toj osobi ako odgovara na isti način, ne može da je uzdigne dužno.
It's like if you reply tit for tat, that someone has done something, you do the same to them, then it's like you haven't used knowledge. Where you use knowledge, then you use your power that you have and give something positive to them.
Ako se predate negativnosti, ako ne upotrebite to znanje, znači da ne koristite svoju moć.
So not to reply in the same tone of voice, but to be the master of the self and do something that's beneficial for the other person.
Ne odgovarite na takve stvari na taj način, nego budite sami sebi gospodar i primenite ovo znanje.
Dobro je bitno za tu dušu će biti.
Što će biti od velike koristi za tu dušu.
You feel it's something that you can do, that you can be the one who is doing something that's positive and beneficial for the other person, even though you might not have been wrong.
I osjetit će se osjetit ćete da ste napravili doprinos, da ste pomogli nekom, da ste upotrebili svoju moć.
This is the humility of the self and the power of the self that allows you to put the other one first.
To je moć sopstva da stavite drugu osobu na prvo mesto i da gledate pre svega drugoga, a ne sebi.
So, self-realization, self-transformation begins with the self, but it allows you to put others first.
Samospoznaja počinje od sebe, ali vam daje tu moć da uvažavate drugi ljude, da ih stavite na prvo mesto.
Otherwise it's like, I'm becoming selfish and I want everything just for myself.
U suprotnom sve radim iz sebičnosti.
So really, meditation brings so many tools to us that we can use in our everyday life for us to experience happiness and give that happiness to others.
Meditacija nam daje sredstva pomoću kojih ćemo steći sreću i tu sreću podeliti sa drugima.
All I have to do is find the time to do some meditation.
Samo treba za početak odvojiti neko vreme za meditaciju.
And in fact, it's possible to do it throughout the day, as I mentioned earlier. So you don't have to stop what you're doing. You continue with all the physical activity, but in your mind you keep the company of the truth.
I podsjetit ću vas, meditacija nije nešto zašto se odvaja vreme, nego nešto što možete da radite ceo dan.
Any questions?
Da li imate pitanja?
If not, then I'd like to start something else. Start something else.
U tom slučaju preći ću na nešto drugo.
The reason for my coming to Serbia was to celebrate this festival of Raksha Bandhan. This is the festival of tying the sacred thread.
Došao sam u Srbiju radi obrada Raksha Bandhan. To je ova, vidite, da.
So I'd like to explain that a little bit first and then invite you to have the sacred thread tied if you want to, because for us it's actually a commitment to the self.
Prvo ću vam objasniti šta je tačno Raksha Bandhan, onda ću vas pozvati, ako želite, da i vi učinite taj mali obred, koji je obred obećanja. To je u suštini obeležava jedno obećanje prema samom sebi.
When I'm tying this sacred thread, I am actually tying it in remembrance of the Supreme, but at the same time, I'm handing over to Him the things that I don't want to keep in myself, the things that are causing me problems, the things that are causing me sorrow, anything like anger, anything like jealousy, anything like criticism. So all of these things that cause me sorrow, I hand over to Him.
U tom obredu ja predajem Bogu sve ono što me muči, sve ono što me tišti i nije samo posvećivanje samom sebi u tom višem smislu, nego i prepuštanje svih tih briga i problema Bogu.
So when I actually make this commitment to God, taking this vow, then in return He gives me the power to be able to become free of all of those things.
Ja Bogu dajem zavet u vidu tog obreda, on meni daje moć da se rešim svih tih stvari.
Just keep the donkey coming there. The Rakhi is actually a sacred symbol of the soul and the Supreme Soul.
What's it called, a Rakhi?
It's called a Rakhi, yeah. The celebration is Raksha Bandhan. Is that, yeah.
You say it was a symbol of the soul.
Yeah. This image here, where I've been talking about the soul, the point of light. So this is actually the point of light. And it's in this red emblem because it's symbolic of the soul being in the home, which is a golden red light.
Ovo je Sjećate se da sam pričala o svetlosnoj tački, a ovo je simbol toga, simbol duše u suštini.
The symbol of the Rakhi, the sacred thread, and then reminding the self of who I am and my connection with the Supreme.
Znači ovo što sad vidite, kako se zove, nije konac nego...
This is symbolic.
Znači ovo je simbol duše i podsjeća čoveka na njegovu vezu sa Bogom.
I mentioned earlier the soul and the Father being the same, and so this is symbolizing both the soul and the Supreme Soul.
Također je podsjećanje na to da su duša i Bog jedno.
So I'm hoping that you'll all have it tied. It's usually tied on the right hand, because everything auspicious, everything righteous you do with the right hand.
Nadam se da ćete ga vezat ćete ga na desnu ruku, jer sve što je valjano i dobro se čini desnom rukom.
At the same time, we also apply a tilak, a dot here, of sandalwood paste. So I'll do that into paste just now, but it's considered to be reminding you of the awareness of the soul, the spiritual being.
Također ćete dobiti ovu
tilak svesnosti da ste duša.
Sandalwood paste.
Od sandalovine.
Znači dobit ćete ovu tačku, to je od boje od sandalovine, u vezi sa onom pričom da je središte ovdje.
Sandalwood paste, because that is considered to be sacred. They use sandalwood when they actually bury someone, the cremation. They put the sandalwood on that pyre where the person is then cremated.
Sandalovina je sveta i ona se koristi u pogrebnim obredima.
So would you all like to have this tied? Each one comes one by one to have it tied, and we do it in remembrance. We do it in remembrance of the Supreme.
A da li biste htjeli da... Ko želi neka priđe?
I just need a drop of water. A bit too much in it.
Može na ženice.
You have a tissue paper. Tissue?
Yes.
Eto.
I need a bit more powder in it.
Ne, baš troći stano.
Maybe you can bring a chair just in front.
Ako ne.
For this part of the ceremony, we won't be speaking anything, so I think, brother, if you can remove the mic from here. Maybe you can keep it just for a minute whilst we tie the Rakhi on the first person. Okay. And then afterwards we won't need the mic anyway. Do you want to sit up? Basically, giving your right hand and just keeping it like this.
Like this.
And taking drishti. Drishti is soul-to-soul connection in remembrance of God.
And think about one resolution you want to take.
What is it that you are handing to God?
One blessing and one sweet.
For your determined thought, God gives you a sweet and the power of a blessing. Thank you. The blessing that you receive generally is something that's appropriate. Yes. the sweet is for your victory. So whatever thoughts that you hand over to the Father, He allows you to experience victory in that. So because of being victorious, you're given a sweet and also a blessing. Yes.
Just come one by one.
na sebe.
You coming tomorrow?
Još ste vi ostalo
You
pomoći.
Okay.
Ne, mi ćemo sutra. Nas 5-6 sutra, ako želite vi još drugi po poslednje, bilo bi lepo. Tako, pozorica, izvijem. Hoće doći sutra? Dobro, ne mogu sutra. Onda sad.
She's part of, she knows us.
Yes, but tomorrow she can. Ne možeš.
Anyway, she can have.
Will be coming tomorrow? You don't want it, brother? You don't have to have it tied if you don't want to. Just come and have the sweet. No, you can just have the sweet if you want.
Is
Brother, you can just have the sweet. Whilst sitting there, whilst the others were having their rakhi tied, you might have read your blessing. Generally, we find that the blessing is appropriate to whatever situation we are in our life today.
Dok su drugi vezivali rakije, možda ste pročitali svoje poruku, svoje blagoslovi i uglavnom nalazimo da blagoslov koje se zadesilo da neko dobije odgovara nekoj situaciji s kojom se trenutno suočava u životu.
If anyone would like to share your blessing or otherwise keep it with yourself, it's fine. But if anyone wants to share, you're welcome to do that.
Ako neko hoće da pročita svoj blagoslov, može da podeli s nama.
Intuitivno. Vi možete raspoznati. Intuitivno. Vi možete raspoznati šta je najbolje za vas i druge. Čak i u najvarljivijim situacijama. Postajete pravi majstor u prepoznavanju znakova na vašem putu, ali i glasnih brojnih koji dolaze k vama po odgovoru.
Možete upravo govoriti ja. To je vaš problem.
And you can say each blessing is unique. Each blessing is unique.
Svaki blagoslov je jedinstven. Da.
Just as every soul is unique, every blessing is unique because each one has your own unique situation.
Svaki blagoslov je jedinstven kao što je svaka situacija životna u kojoj se neko nalazi jedinstven. I can read mine. Iskreni. Čak i u zabludama današnjeg sveta vidite sjaj istine. Svojom istinoljubivošću pokrećete promene, topite ustaljene predodžbe i izražavate svoje ideje jasno i hrabro. Vaša ljubav tako stalno raste. Honesty.
It's called open and ready. Na srpsku ću pročeti. Voljni ste stvarati i graditi novi život i širiti okvire koje ste prerasli. Nakon što prepoznate signal u svom umu, odabirete ono što je za vas najbolje i delate trenutno i zadovoljno u tom smeru. Push to act and to build new life. It's God.
So you've got some newness from tonight.
It's meant to me and it has some deeper message.
Turning point in life.
Yeah. Now overgrown this childish part of me and get ready for the bigger steps.
Okay.
I feel that inside a few years.
So now it's the final push.
Yes.
Okay, if anyone wants to share anything, what you're taking back with you tonight, what's the feeling you're going with, otherwise we finish with 5 minutes of powerful silence, and that is the treasure that you go away with.
Ako imate, i ako želite, podelite s nama neke utiske vaše o cijeloj večeri. Završit ćemo sa jakom, moćnom, 5-minutnom tišinom. Posle toga.
I have a question. This is a reminder of our connection with God or Source. What if sometimes we think we lost that connection? How do we, if we feel detached due to certain situations in life, how do we keep it constant?
Many situations will come whereby it will try and distract you from that connection with the Supreme. But my job is to constantly pay attention to make sure that that connection is there. And so even though at some point I lose that connection, again and again I remind myself of who I am. And in that way I reconnect myself. So if you actually practice, do you try? Translate?
It's okay.
If you practice every morning 5 minutes and then you build it up to 10 minutes or something, in this way you're building the foundation for the day with the Supreme, and then you'll find that He is with you throughout the day because the foundation has been laid. If the foundation is not there, it becomes difficult to keep Him with yourself. But then throughout the day you forget, but this is why we have a system that we call traffic control. So every hour we keep on reminding ourselves of who we are and bring back ourselves onto track. So even if you had forgotten, you remind yourself again.
So discipline, you remind you.
Yeah. Some people actually use their watch, some people use their phones to put the alarm on there, so the ring goes every hour. And then you remind yourself, you stop from whatever you're doing for just 2 minutes and you continue. You bring back the presence to the self and then you continue with it afterwards. So it's actually called traffic control, but it's the traffic control of the thoughts.
Maybe you can translate now in Serbian.
Znači, ključ je u konstantnom podsjećanju. Korisno je recimo da svakog jutra odvojimo 2 minuta da budemo u meditaciji, odnosno povezivanju sa sobom, svešću, izvorom, kako god. I imamo i ta neka pomagala, recimo ako nosimo sat na ruci, to može da nam bude podsjetnik, ili da navimo alarm na telefonu, šta god da radimo u toku dana. Prekinuće nas da se vratimo mislima na to da smo jedno sa svešću.
This particular practice has been beneficial for many people, even in their offices. Some people come to meet us, clients come to meet us at the center, and if it happens to be traffic control, they also stop at that time, and they've benefited from that because they find that whatever situation was being discussed, they weren't able to come to a solution, but then stopping for 2 minutes, you're able to give positive energy to that situation, and thereby you're able to resolve that situation. So they find it beneficial, so they've adopted it in their companies also.
Neki ljudi su imali stresne situacije na poslu koje nisu mogli da reše ni na koji drugi način, nego su se zaustavili, vratili se sebi i onda su uspeli da nađu i snage, energije, pozitivnosti da na pravilan način odgovore na tu situaciju.
So many times throughout the day, first thing in the morning, throughout the day every hour, last thing at night. So finishing everything, clearing the slate so that in the morning you begin fresh.
Znači kao što smo rekli, na kraju dana stavi tačku što se desilo u tom danu da bi mogao da pređeš u sledeći potpuno čisti, potpuno prazan.
So I'd like to thank you all for giving me this opportunity to be here with all of you. And I hope that you've really taken something useful and valuable for yourselves that will help you in your future life. This is my good wishes for each and every one of you. Thank you.
Hvala vam na ovoj prilici. Drago mi je što sam ovde s vama večeras i nadam se da ćete odavde sa sobom poneti nešto jako vredno. To su moje, to ovo želim u srcu.
So we just finished with 5 minutes of powerful silence, total silence, just connecting the self with the Supreme and visualizing yourself as this beautiful point of sparkling light sitting in the center of the forehead. And from here, spreading vibrations, the rays of peace, love and happiness.
Završit ćemo sa 5 minuta tišine i u tih 5 minuta vidjet ćemo sebe kao onu tačku sred čela koja odašilja spokoj, ljubav i mir.
Shanti and Namaste to everyone. Very good night to everyone.
Otherwise, just for your information, we have a Brahma Kumari Center in near Republic Square, you know, and every Saturday when I'm here, because I'm representative of Brahma Kumari in Serbia, I'm French, I'm Michel, so I'm giving lecture on one spiritual topic, and it's free of charge, so you are most welcome. You know, so I mean, this Saturday will be about the Raki celebration for those who are in contact with us. But you may come if you want. Is Valdeshanska, the street, and is Interphone 3. You can, you know, maybe you know or maybe Sandra knows. She has the placard. So you may ask Sandra about the proper information. But otherwise, every Saturday evening, 6 p.m., you know, because we make some advertisement in Instagram, you know, about it. So you may find it, and okay, and you're most welcome. So, Om Shanti, and thank you.
I 30. septembra ćemo biti na festivalu zdravlja u Domu Armije, pa dobrodošli ceo dan na našem štandu, vidjet ćete nas. Mi ništa ne prodajemo, mi samo dajemo blagoslove, tolije, slatkiše, imamo neki vrlinoskop, pa okrećete i vidite koja vrlina nas krasi, tako da možda ćemo neko predavanje održati, još nismo dogovorili.
Om Shanti means I am a being of peace. Om is I the soul, Shanti is peace. Whenever we begin something, whenever we end something, we start with Om Shanti, we finish with Om Shanti.
Om je biće, a Shanti znači mir. I svaki put kad nešto započnemo i kad završimo nešto kažemo Om Shanti. To je, kao što nas je pozdravila na kraju gospođa Jasu sa Om Shanti, poželjala nam je svima laku noć, Namaste i Om Shanti. A Michel je rekao da će, pozvao vas je na predavanje Brahma Kumari, čiji je predstavnik u Srbiji, on je tu od 2003. godine, u Dečanskoj ulici svake subote drži besplatno predavanje.
Broj 2, prvi sprat.
Dečanska broj 2. I svake subote drži besplatno predavanje u 6 uveče i šta već reče?
Interphone 3 and prvi sprat.
Interphone 3,
I on se isto pozdravio sa Om Shanti i laku noć.
Pozdravljam Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Okay, so, like noche.